response to the several visits that some of you came to me personally in Abuja, youth groups, student union groups, and concerned young professionals from Cross River State to urge me to come and run again. I promised you that after some consultation, I will give you an answer. And I'm here today to answer that call. Thank you. If I keep speaking extempo, I'll become emotional. So let me say a couple of things that I put down in writing. Fellow Cross Riverians, brothers and sisters, may I use this opportunity to appreciate you for sacrificing your time to be here with me in this arduous journey to rescue our dear Cross River State from further drifting. I thank you all who could make it here in person, and to those far from here whose thoughts and prayers are with us, and I know the number in their millions. We all stand in unison to say we are ready, we are here, we are fully prepared, with one common goal in sight, to take up the challenge to rescue Cross River State. Cross River State, the pearl of the nation, pride and destination of choice of international and local travelers and tourists for the Nigerian tourism space, the hope of the agrarian industry, the haven of peace, with unmatched promise of homemade culinary expertise. That is what it was. Suddenly, all these have fallen to pieces, disappeared from our very eyes. In just 3 years, we lost and are losing all that Cross River State and the world has known about this state since its creation in 1967, then known as Southeastern State. When the subsisting democratic dispensation commenced in Nigeria in 1999, Cross River State was perhaps the most promising of all the states in the country. Available indices point so very well to this fact, but I shall not go into all those details today. Let's save that for another day. We all recall with nostalgia those days when tourists from all over the world, as well as their counterparts from all states of Nigeria, practically trooped to Cross River, filling every available space in hotels, savoring the hospitality and beauty that our state offered, thanks to Donald Duke, who sold the state to the world and made us the envy of all other states in Nigeria. Indeed, we can recall with joy still in our hearts how the Obudu Cattle Ranch became a global showpiece of attraction, hosting the mountain race and presidential retreats time after time. We used to have at least 3 airlines flying in, to, and from Calabar on regular schedules with visitors, investors, and seminar attendees. At the moment, we have just 1 airline flying the Calabar route. 7 airlines go to Akwa Ibom on a daily basis. We have 1 coming to Calabar. A sad commentary on the ordeals of Cross River State within just 3 years. It is also still fresh in our hearts, the unforgettable strides of His Excellency Senator Liam Imoke, how he opened up the rural areas of our state, gave our people access, how he brought hope for agricultural revolution in the Songhai Farms model. The projects established by the duo of Donald and Liam are fresh in our minds. And I ask, is it not painful that in just 3 years, we have almost lost all that these 2 distinguished sons of the state worked so tirelessly to build in 16 years put together? I don't think posterity will forgive us let the gains of those 16 years go to ruin, as it clearly is the case now. Outside of these projects, our youth have never been idle, with no hope, no motivation, no entrepreneurial skills to hold on to. And this is why I ask you, fellow Cross-Riverians, to give me a chance to get our teeming youth positively active again. In their hundreds and thousands today, they roam the streets without direction. Some flee to foreign lands where they are in slave labor. Some are sex slaves, and many die in those foreign lands, unsung and unnoticed. If you give me a chance to get them back, give them a chance to take back their lives, and those who are back here to actualize their dreams, we will together fix Cross River State. International assets, globally acclaimed, that we proudly call our own in Cross River State. Let me begin with the Obudu Cattle Ranch, or Obudu Ranch Resort. This is an exotic resort that globally every tourist wants to visit. Donald Duke touched it up, gave it global prominence, made it a home away from home for tourists. By now, we should be celebrating milestones and upgrades of this resort. Unfortunately, that resort is literally dead today. The cable car is not working. First cable car that was witnessed in West Africa is dead as we speak. The Tinapa Business and Holiday Resort, which is contiguous with the Calabar Free Trade Zone, projected to turn around 200 billion annually, is dead. The Institute of Technology Management, it's also dead. So is the Songhai Farms. The aforementioned projects desperately need focused leadership with foresight and insight on how to actualize the vision behind their being set up. These projects are phased projects that require clearly thought out projections with timelines, with a vision to activate the export-free trade zone. Foreign exchange income generated from this enterprise will make crude oil of little or no significance across River State. The key to Tinapa and the Obudu Ranch Resort is entrepreneurship, and again, entrepreneurship. Be rest assured, I will make entrepreneurship become synonymous with Cross River State if you give me the mandate. Having studied the natural agricultural endowment of our dear state and the human capital generated from our tertiary institutions, the value chains derivable to the investing public, with well-articulated policy by my government, will endear the erstwhile scared public to again revisit Cross River State as an investor's heaven. I must confess that this will not be easy, with the lack of policy or focus or continuity exhibited so far. But with well thought out programs, exhibitions with tax breaks and other incentives using best global marketing tools, Cross River State will be in the map again, bringing in investors in droves. Government has no business meddling in entrepreneurship, but government has every business in providing an enabling environment through providing the right policy framework and incentives attractive enough for the investor to make Cross River State a one-stop center for both investors and partnerships. That, I assure you, I will provide if given the mandate. When I look at our state, our economy, quite a number of key areas readily come to my mind. Take agriculture, for instance. Almost all of our people engage in agriculture, from the small peasants in subsistence farming to the middle and large-scale farmers who engage in it as major commercial enterprise. But how do the farmers engage in agricultural productivity, irrespective of their size, when there are no rural access roads? Indeed, this brings to mind some unforgettable projects that our immediate past governor, Limoki, introduced and made sure he delivered results. We all recall with nostalgia the Rural Development Agency, RUDA, which Imoke established. Because this agency was responsible for giving access to rural communities through the Rural Access Mobilization Project, RAMP, a counterpart-funded project of the African Development Bank. This project enabled rural dwellers to commute through asphalted roads instead of earth roads, and we have seen the impact of all of this in our various local communities. Let me remind you that some of these rural communities were seeing asphalted roads for the first time. Those roads have remained a saving grace and have enabled revolutionary growth in economic activities in those local communities. Of course, not all of our rural roads were touched by that project, which was phase 1. 3 years after phase 1, there has been no phase 2 to continue where phase 1 stopped. In fact, we should be talking today of not only completing phase 2, but of beginning regular maintenance work on the rural roads in the phased phase. Neither of this is ongoing today. How sad. Education somehow goes hand in hand with access roads. Whether it is education at the primary school level, or secondary or tertiary level, access roads play a key role for quality, skilled teaching staff, as well as timely attendance of classes. Still on education, it beats one's imagination that a noble project established by Senator Imoki, the Institute of Technology and Management, ITM at Ugem, is today a sorry state of the original plan. This is an institution that has international affiliations that should have become a center of excellence for entrepreneurship and agricultural value chain to boost our economy. How can you have a government neglect such a lofty project as this, where excellence in technology, education, economy, and tourism are at the heart of its program content to create entrepreneurs? Why have I talked so much on projects established by both Governors Duke and Imoke? Simple. The simple reason is to show that government is a continuum. These are noble projects which the state is proud of and should always be proud of. And this is even more important, that these projects need continuous upgrade analysis for Cross River State to realize our export processing potential, which the federal government kindly bestowed to her as first partaker of such status in Nigeria. These are not just projects that make Cross River State popular and the envy of other states. They are life-touching and life-changing projects with uncountable ancillary benefits under the reins of a mature, focused leader. I promise you, fellow Cross Riverians, I will bring all these projects back to life and record. Desperate for urban renewal. You can count the potholes on the one hand that dot Calabar metropolis and other major city centers across the state that are accidents waiting to happen, and the putrid stench that ooze from the mass of refuse that have become a signpost of our urban centers, and on the other. And I saw that convey the sad commentary our enviable clean state has become. The roads linking Yala to Ogoja through Bekwara to Obudu in the northern senatorial districts tell the saddest situation about the status of our dear enviable Cross River State with the current administration. But I assure you that with you and I, the deal is, let's fix Cross River. For us in Cross River State, our unique selling proposition is tourism. This has been the focus for 16 years. But in the last 3 years, I don't know what our focus has been. We simply have derailed. Talking about tourism, the Calabar Carnival, globally acclaimed event, introduced, was originally envisioned as a month-long program. Reputable international and local artists and musicians usually showcase their talents beginning from November 30, keeping the state busy with social and economic activities, peaking at Christmas week and ending the year on high leisure crescendo. All that this program needs is an upgrade aimed at maximizing the potentials with new introductions and some editing that will captivate tourists, both local and foreign, with new ideas, twists and turns that appeal to the ever leisure-loving tourists visiting from all over the world. What do we have in the last 3 years? We've had a watering down of this signature event that has been copied by several states already. In fact, many states that copied from the Calabar Carnival are now doing even better than ours. Such a sad turn of events. We must and have to bring the Calabar Carnival back to what it used to be and better. Yes, we must make it better. That is the promise I make to you. With your support, we shall take the Calabar Carnival to the greatest heights. I am not out here to make promises of gigantic projects hurriedly conceptualized that are dead on arrival. Rather, you will remember me as the governor who ensured that existing select projects become viable and completed the uncompleted ones. You will remember me as a governor who paid attention to fixing little things that matter to the common man. Let me make it abundantly clear to all that my government will complete, actualize, and activate all projects initiated and established by our visionary governors, Donald Duke and Senator Lee Ndimoke, because these projects have everything the state requires to make it great, self-sustaining, self-reliant. What needs not to be there will be edited, and what needs to be there will be fast-tracked. My focus, therefore, shall be to complete and actualize these projects, from agriculture to access roads, especially rural roads, to health, to education, to support for traditional institutions, to women empowerment, and to tourism. So when you talk of tourism, you will have to talk of Cross River State. With such exotic tourist sites and projects like the Obudu Ranch Resort, the Afi Mountain, the Agbukum Waterfall, the Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort, New Yam Festivals, Lemboku, and many more, then you realize that we have lost it in the last 3 years. In simple words, I shall initiate Tinapa Phase 2. I shall initiate Obudu Ranch Resort Phase 2. I shall initiate Entrepreneurship Development Phase 1. Because the core of all of this is to create entrepreneurship. That is what will change the status from Cross River being a dependent state to being a productive state that earns income without waiting for salaries or money coming from the federal government. There used to be a time people used to come from other states to Cross River for a peaceful and secured life and tasty cuisine. We have lost that in the last 3 years. Our people are noted for a culture of cleanliness. What has become of our capital city, for instance, in the last couple of years? Heaps of refuse now compete space with motorists and commuters. In the midst of all this, our teeming youth in their hundreds and thousands need just an institutional push through the ITM to unlock their entrepreneurial spirit, and the state will transform their energies into a bubbling commercial hub. But that too is lacking, leaving our youth despondent, hopeless, and dejected, enslaved by monthly alerts that neither meet their needs nor make them sufficient, but eternally enslave them and make them beggarly for crumbs inadvertently distributed by government for work not done. How did we degenerate to this sorry state? When we used to talk of your youth, bustling with ideas and energy in the creeks, in our villages and cities, our women, hardworking, ceaselessly in their effort to support family and society, we talk of our traditional institutions. How they held the fabric of our state together with high morals. But today, how much respect does our government give to the traditional institutions? Our traditional rulers, our royal fathers. I don't see much support or role being given to these institutions that are the repository of our heritage and civic mentorship. That perhaps is why there is high moral decadence. My administration will stem this moral decadence, which in turn also helps to stem and significantly reduce crime. We will strengthen the traditional institutions under my watch, giving respect and support again, as it used to be to our traditional rulers. Because respect and support for the traditional institution also means inspiration for the youth, as they will also look upon the traditional heritage with respect and admiration and uphold the morals imparted to them from their homes. Governance anywhere in the world rests on some key principles to achieve the goals of serving the people. There must be inclusion. My government will be participatory. It will not only be a government of one man knows it all. It must be rule of law. I will govern through and only by the rule of law. Through the rule of law. I will demystify governance by being transparent. This is so elementary, yet so difficult by the current administration. It is difficult to get a buy-in without transparency. Imagine budgets that make no meaning to the average literate cross-riverian. As we have seen so far, government-facilitated projects or investments that leave citizens guessing whether they are individual programs or they are government programs. The confusion is endless in a cloud devoid of transparency. People-oriented programs originating from needs with a bottom-up approach translates government activities into actions that give people an opportunity in town hall meetings and other fora to ask questions of their representatives at local, state, and federal level for accountability and responsibility. I promise you a transparent government. A good government must be responsive. There must be consensus building as a policy framework. How can any leader lead by merely imposing his or her will on the people? My government shall be one that listens and responds to the yearnings and aspirations of our people. Therefore, this will lead to other key features, namely equity, effectiveness, and efficiency. I promise I will promote regular town hall meetings for citizens to meet with their councillors, their local government chairmen, House of Assembly members, their governor, the National Assembly members for accountability through briefings and needs assessment on a regular basis. If you give me the mandate, like I have said here, you will be able to have council chairmen sitting down together with me in town hall meetings answering questions, either on radio and TV and in different fora for direct access. I will create the same forum with the members in the State House of Assembly that some never get to see. The same with the members of the National Assembly. It will become a regular feature so that you hear what they do and you know what they do, and they hear from you how they should do what they are doing. It will be a collective thing. That's why I said our slogan will be, let's fix Cross River. The People's Democratic Party, it is time to take back our state. let's rescue Cross River State now before it becomes too late. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed people of Cross River State, traditional rulers and our unrelenting party members, it is time to press the reset button to prevent Cross River State from spinning out of control towards self-destruction. I step forward before all and I ask those of you who are delegates or who know delegates for the forthcoming primaries of the PDP to vote for Emmanuel Ibeshi as the PDP candidate for 2019 general elections so we can together fix Cross River State. Finally, let me quote former President Jonathan's parting words to Nigerians before 2015 presidential elections. President Jonathan said, and I quote, "The choice before Nigerians, in this case the choice before Cross Riverians, in the coming election is simple. A choice between going forward or going backwards, between the new ways and the old ways, between freedom and repression, between a record of visible achievements and beneficial reforms and desperate power seekers with empty promises. The ball is now in your court. To make it happen, by supporting me based on my track records provided in my manifesto, right here. I'm fully ready, capable, able, and willing to serve you. Now, for the records, for those who have a couple of questions, for the records, I want it clearly known as it's spelled out here in my manifesto. If you give me the opportunity, I am here to serve for just one term of 4 years, completing the 2 terms of Northern Cross River Senatorial District under the People's Democratic Party. This is a precedent already benefited by South and Central Senatorial Districts, respectively, in keeping with the zoning arrangements designed by our leaders, as boldly presented in this 71-page manifesto that is presented here. My official website, emmanuelibeshi.com, will be open to the public.
The current political system as practiced today in our party may truncate its effort. What I'm trying to say here is this: the delegate system of election, the delegated primaries, will not give us the opportunity to choose our rightful leaders. Until we adopt a direct primaries for nomination of gubernatorial candidates in every political party, we cannot get our leaders right. Direct primaries give us opportunity for every card-carrying party member to vote and choose his leader. And that gives a sense of belonging, a sense of participation and commitment to the party. You will be proud to say that, yes, this was my candidate. But the situation where you select delegates that can be manipulated, juxtaposed, and even twisted to choose a candidate that we, the people, do not want, doesn't help in any way. That is my own suggestion today, and that's my own point of departure, because I believe Honorable Emmanuel Ibeshi will definitely deliver Cross River State. But my belief alone will not take us there. Thank you.
What touched me was almost the last statement he made, where he said that if we look at his website this evening, we're going to see his manifesto on that platform. Because I believe a time has come when we must make a departure from what we have today. We must be able to engage our leaders. We must be able to engage those who seek to lead the state. As young people, we have the capacity to make contributions. I'm happy about that, and by 7 p.m. I'll begin to search for that website. I should be able to look at what he has for the state holistically and make inputs. Sometime in 2000, early 2000, on the premises of this hotel, then Metropolitan, I was a first year or second year student then of the University of Calabar. There was a budget presentation on this premises. His Excellency Dorado was present, and then Emmanuel Ibeshi was Special Advisor Budget, where he presented the first budget to the people of the state. And we made contributions. I remember a man who worked for one newspaper, I can't remember exactly, stood up and talked about Orok Street. I tell people every time that I remember he said that if you go down Orok Street, that place could take 2 stories down. It was on these premises we got assurances from the budget advisor and His Excellency that road would be taken care of. And work started on that road. And few months after, people who know that place very should know what I'm talking about. People had moved out of that place, and that road is still there till today. For me, that is governance. We must feel the impact of government. We don't need people to give us food. We just need basic amenities to enable us live our personal lives. But unfortunately, within the past 3 years, we have witnessed a situation where we do not have basic amenities. I was talking to a few friends of mine on this premises. I wasn't even aware that this was going to take place. A friend of mine invited me, and I said, I was driving around town a few days ago, and it occurred to me that no one single traffic light is functioning. And I said, I am particular about that, not because it is so wonderful, but the fact that I can count a number of them. I doubt if there are more than 10 in Calabar. And I believe that the infrastructure is there. If we cannot buy bulbs or probably replace poles, then what are we talking about as a people? We have listened to you. I'm happy you said you wouldn't want to be remembered for bringing wonderful projects to us. Because my mom stays in a village somewhere in Abi. In fact, 2 days ago, the road had cut off. She doesn't need all this big grammar. All she needs is basic amenities, potable water. All she needs is a road, not even tarred, but motorable. If we must have a government, all we need from government are those basic amenities. We will cater for ourselves. Most of us, our parents have been able to take us through school. Even for those who have not gone through school, have learned one trade or the other. If we have those basic things, we will cater for ourselves. That is what we need from government. But I want to also talk to us as young people. Erim talked about the system we are operating, yes. But I believe we can do something about it. It is time we ensure that we get leaders we know or we trust. Leaders we can approach. Leaders that understand what our issues. And the only way we can do that is for you and I to go out there and talk to our people.
I've listened keenly to your blueprint. And I got so enthused with them. And as much as I incline myself to work assiduously for your success, equally, I wish that every other person here would do the same. But there's a problem I want to find out, which I think was not addressed in your address. And that is about taxation in Cross River State. We have experienced some kind of astronomical and whimsical imposition of taxes. And that has driven a lot of people, a lot of investors from coming to invest in Cross River State. A situation where taxes are imposed radically and the people are getting so disenchanted and yet nobody is saying anything about it. Sir, it's a worrisome trend. I don't know what your government is coming to do or to address, how you are going to address this issue in order for us to bounce back economically to where we should be. Judging from the angle that entrepreneurial development is the mainstay or the fulcrum of every society. Sir, I want to hear you say something about it. And I also think other cross-riverians too want to hear something. Thank you, sir.
I have listened to you. I've heard everything you said. And indeed, you are right. And your promises too is quite juicy. I've also listened to the reason why you want to be the governor of the state, that you are here on a rescue mission. And indeed, Cross River State needs rescuing. Indeed we do. We are already at a precipice. But then, it wouldn't be the first time that we are having a governorship aspirant mount the podium and then entertain us with lofty promises. The current governor did that. Governor Leimoke did the same thing. Of course, he did well. You have spoken well. But then my question is, now that you have spoken well, just the way the other governorship aspirants did, how do we know we can trust you? It isn't about talking, it's about acting. And when you do become governor, and then you begin to fumble and mess up just the way it is happening now, we wouldn't have the power to meet you in government house and tell you, my friend, calm down. We wouldn't. And now that you have already promised that you need just 4 years, which means one single term, it means we wouldn't have an opportunity to say no more Ibeshi. It means you are coming on a one-way ticket to do whatever you want to do and go. How can we trust you? Number one. Two, you've spoken well about Tinapa. Tinapa is wonderful. I have seen the blueprint. It's amazing. Leimoke came in, succeeded Donald Duke, and they did everything. He did everything he could for Tinapa to work, but it didn't work. He brought in experts to have meetings with, asked them to bring in their economic stimulus plans. They did all of that. Tinapa remained a graveyard. At least then we had banks that were working. But today we don't have one single bank. So the entire area is dead. So what will you be doing differently that Leimoke didn't do, Donald Duke didn't do, and Ayade isn't doing at all? What will you be doing that would be quite different from each and every one of them?
I am Issa Tony Ekbong. I come from Mbube in Ogoja local government area of Cross River State. I wouldn't know what is a question, but I must air my view. One, government is a continuous process. Am I right? You don't judge a man at his point of comfort. Am I right? Good. Now, let's go this way. Let me allay my voice with the first speaker. Having in the back of our mind the delegate system. If we can change it, it has happened in Osun State. Let's have a direct way of voting. One, if you must be the governor of this state, there are setting dogmatic principle we must change. But the party is big. You start it small. So if we have that, everybody, you have your right at that point to vote. What are his plans towards that? One. Then secondly, I, Issa Tony Ekbong, I am not in support of so many agenda. Give us just 3. Don't carry so much that you won't do. We don't want jaw-breaking promises that you won't do. First, from his speech, if we have 3 senatorial districts, don't bother to do so much things that we know in the current economic situation in Nigeria, you won't achieve that. Just give us 3. Let's have access. If you keep 1 in the south, okay, you want to revive Tinapa, all of us will come and shop and buy. People from Ogoja won't rush through Enugu and go to Onitsha to buy. You keep the Tinapa, everybody is shopping there. A big mall, we won't go to Dubai again, we shop there. Okay, we have that in the south. You go to the central, pick 1 major problem or 1 major project and do. And go to the north and do 1. He spoke about tourism. With tourism, we don't need to clamor and wait for resources or payment from the federal government to pay salaries. I can tell you authoritatively that before 3 years ago, the states have the avenue to generate salary to pay themselves. But now what's happening? Nothing. So I want to ask Your Excellency to be, what are your plans towards making the state self-develop to pay their salaries? We have quarries, we have so many things. What are your plans? Thank you.
Your Excellency, sir, I listened to you keenly when you presented your declaration speech. And you said something like addressing projects that Donald Duke started and that of Leah Limoke. I don't know if, because I know that government is continuity. And very, very obvious, the present administration have started something, but automatically in deceitful moment. And so, the question I wish to ask, listen to me keenly. I'm drawing to a point. This project the government have started are our collective money that they deceive us that they are doing. These things they say they are doing have been kept in particular places where we don't have evidences if these things are actually taking place. And so if His Excellency comes now, is it going to be about abandoning these ideas that have already been put in place, or is going to develop it to come to actualization? That is what I want to ask. Secondly, please, Your Excellency, the advocacy for women participation in politics is gaining momentum every day. In your administration, Your Excellency, sir, because you didn't mention it in your declaration speech, what plans do you have for women participation in your government? And lastly, for the youths, the idea, there is this misconstrued ideology that when you have been given appointment, everything has been settled. What blueprints, specific blueprints, Your Excellency, when you are elected, do you have that youth will actually fall back to say this is what they will live all through their life other than appointment? Thank you very much.
The feedback from the questions I have received so far, very robust. And I'm very glad that you heard me. On the first question, the delegate system, what are we going to do so that we don't end up frustrated as we are always wont to? I don't know how many of you know what happened in Ekiti before Fayose won the election to dethrone an incumbent. You remember what happened? You remember what happened? The young people of Ekiti State believed in Fayose's candidature. And they stuck their necks out. That brings us to the challenge in Cross River. How far will our youths stick their necks out to what they know? they should do? That's a huge question. You can only produce the best of what you have in you. You don't get pushed when you are hungry to look for food. You look for food when you are hungry, right? If we know that Cross River is at a precipice and we are sinking, we will go out of our way to look for those who are delegates. Statutory delegates, we already know them. To begin to talk to them. For instance, we came in here, you can see there are 2 policemen here. If you go to the northeast, what is happening? They are using police to kill our people there, right? I'm talking very sensitive things now. So that you know that your salvation depends on you. You are either ready to stand up for what is right and talk to those that you know are statutory delegates to know the pain and the hunger of the state and to go out and do the right thing and vote out a government that does not help you, that is giving you projects that you do not need, that is taking you through a merry-go-round. It's not a big deal. You must be determined yourself to go out on a campaign to tell the people that it is not a general election, it's a delegate election. If the delegates of Cross River State do not feel the pain that we are feeling at the moment, give yourself another 4 years if you will be able to make it at this state. So it is the pain that everybody is feeling, and it is what every one of us sitting here must go out and preach to those who are delegates and to those who will be ad hoc delegates to do the right thing. Without doing that, angels are not going to come from heaven to help you. You can stay 20 hours in church to pray, but you need human beings on the streets who will do the right thing. You need to be the advocates for what should be done. After you pray, go out and convince the people who are delegates and those who are going to be ad hoc delegates to do the right thing. Does that answer that question? The onus falls back on you to go and do the right thing. I have done the best I can do from the National Secretariat. You can be sure about that. I will secure Cross River State. You can rest assured of that on me. I have been doing my bit. I will do my bit. And I will continue to do my bit until we go through the primaries that the right thing is done. I have worked at the National Secretariat before. I was the first PDP National Publicity Secretary. And so, the politics of the National Secretariat is not strange to me. And you can also testify, this is not my first attempt at governorship. If you fail once, you fail twice, the third time you should pass. You did not see my blueprint nor hear me talk about my blueprint. You heard my declaration speech. All those issues are fully explained in the blueprint. The blueprint is just 71 pages. But there's a working manual that you will see step by step on all these issues on the website. Now, that was also a rider to the question, how do we trust you? If I have taken pains to at least give you a 16-page declaration speech and give you a 71-page manifesto and over 300 pages working manual step by step, hold me by it. You can trust me because everything that I've stated are boldly written and verifiable. I don't think the previous or the current governor has a manual that you can use to say this is what he said and that's why he is doing this. But I have everything that you can hold me accountable. What would I do differently to make Tinapa work since Imoke tried his own bit and all that? The same question, the same answer, but I'll try to give you a little bit exposition on that. Because I explained all of that in both my manifesto and the working manual. If you ask yourself about Lagos State, for those of you who know Lagos State, and this is the easiest I always talk about, government being a continuum. When Bola Tinubu became governor of Lagos State in 1999, and he left after 8 years, he made his chief of staff to succeed him. A lot of people were uncomfortable that, will this person be able to follow the pathway of Bola Tinubu? By the time Fashola was there for the first 2 years, everybody in Lagos State was like, why did he not come before Bola Tinubu? He did better than Bola Tinubu. Then, when Fashola was leaving, they looked at the ambience of Ambode. They said, this one doesn't look sharp or smart enough. But as at today, they believe that Ambode has flawed both Fashola and Bola Tinubu. But why? Don't clap here. Let me tell you the reason why. The reason is this. What Bola Tinubu did was a foundation laying. Bola Tinubu, in his cabinet, he put together people that were either his contemporaries or people that were better than him. He made commissioners from other states. They didn't come from Lagos State. He had a commissioner from Osun State, commissioner from Ekiti State, commissioner from Ogun State. His Ogun State commissioner today is vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His Osun State commissioner today is governor of Osun State. His Ekiti State commissioner was governor of Ekiti State. He's been back again now as Ekiti State governor. His chief of staff that succeeded him is minister of what? Now, when you have people that you have grouped, the problem we have in Cross River State is a succession plan, succession strategy. And this is the source of our failure. For instance, we are sitting down here representing 3 senatorial districts. I've been talking to elders. I said, we have a living succession plan to incumbent governors. You don't need to leave succession plan to one man who will destroy your life or your future. The moment a governor sits in power, the elders of the state from the 3 senatorial districts should begin to talk. And it depends on the disposition of that governor. I have offered myself that I will give that disposition. I have promised 4 years. 4 years because the plan that Donald Duke laid was more than enough for Cross River State for continuity. I have seen the flaws with that plan. I've seen the flaws with Imoke's own plan. This same plan with various flaws can be brought together to produce what it was aimed at. Previous governors, as you know, we are all friends, we are contemporaries. We dreamt about Cross River State together. We drew these plans together. And it is only somebody who knew what they did from the beginning that can bring about that solution. And so if you give me the mandate, Tinapa will not only work, the best brains that Donald Duke put together, the best brains that Imoke put together, will combine all of them. The flaws that were there Because I'm coming to say, hey, I was watching you from a distance. This is where you missed it. This is where you missed it. And sitting in the saddle, they will say, Your Excellency, it's your turn. That's how we're going to deal with it. And it will work. If you listen to us and you give us that opportunity, trust me, this definitely will work. The issue of taxation and all that you talked about earlier, I said I'm going to build on what both Donald and Leal did. There is no way you can talk about taxation without specific tax breaks and incentives for investors to come. And I treated that in the manifesto, and you see that also. If I start talking about the details of that, we're not going to get out of here. Because that is what will make TINAPA work. That is what will make 7 airlines come to Cross River State. Because we have more than enough. Now, somebody asked me, how do we trust you? When you get there, how are we going to trust you? How do we know that we are not putting a rope on a bird to fly away? Let me put it that way. If you know me very well, for those of you who have followed my political antecedents, how many of you knew when I was National Public Secretary? How many of you knew when I was in the House of Representatives? Some people were not even born here yet, but that's 1992. That's the truth. That's about 26 years ago when I was in the House of Rep. If you follow my trend, you will see that I've been consistent by God's grace. I've been consistent because God's grace has been upon my life. And there is nothing that I will say here that I will not do. The entrepreneurship, in fact, part of what made Bola Tinubu's crew succeed in making Lagos State what it is the blueprint that he laid. The blueprint that Donald Duke laid. The TINAPA you are seeing lying moribund. The only thing that will make TINAPA work is entrepreneurship. To get investors to take our rubber out of Cross River State, not as rubber, but as bathroom slippers, soles of canvas, or other ancillaries. That is not government business. That is entrepreneurs' business. Investors will have to come here and set up their small-scale factories. And that gives you rise to value chains that will give jobs to our teeming youths. That's only one. What about cassava? We should be able to see cassava outside Gary. We should see cassava as starch. When you begin to advertise the potentials of the cash crops that Cross River has, and you look at the various communities where these cash crops are resident, you don't have to bring everything to Calabar. Like the rice seedling, this thing we saw recently. That should be in Basara. And if you put that thing in Basara, you will see small companies that do jute bags. They will settle there. A community of production or producers will find themselves in Bansara. Before you know it, they will be extending community with development. The same thing with banana, the same thing with cocoa, the same thing with rice, the same thing with palm oil across our various local governments. That's why I'm saying, if you give me the opportunity, with what I've seen, if we are producing canned starch in Cross River, we will showcase it in TINAPA. We are not going to bring products from outside somewhere. We will showcase what we have produced in Cross River. We will have no choice than to dredge the Calabar Channel for ships to take away these products from here. Because they are the ones that gave us the status of export free trade zone. The place is there dead. Because we are not deploying what we have. We are playing enough politics. We need to show leadership. That's all we need. And so I can assure you that TINAPA as a project will work. Okay, take for instance, like I said, I will initiate, if you listen to me in my declaration, that's ETEG, right? If you listen to me in my declaration, I said I will initiate TINAPA phase 2. And I'll initiate Obudu Ranches on phase 2. And I'll initiate entrepreneurship phase 1. Because if you have a project that will last you for just 4 years, or 8 years, or 16 years, you haven't had a vision. You must have a vision that has a succession plan far ahead of you. And this vision can only be actualized when young people believe they have a part in that vision. And they can aspire to fit into that vision. They can buy into that vision. They can see jobs coming out of that vision. And they can look for how this vision can be further expanded by their own understanding. That is why I'm saying, if I lay that foundation in 4 years, Cross River will be on autopilot. That's the truth. So it is left for you, Cross Riverians, to be willing, ready to take the gauntlet, because your destiny is in your hands. The ball is in your court. Whatever you do with it is all left to you. I have offered myself, and I want to thank you once again. God bless you.
I'm a lawyer, and I can say I hold my ground in the legal profession. No vacancy is unconstitutional. For the recruitment of the next governor has begun with the declaration from INEC according to the Constitution. So those who intend to fill that vacancy will come and face the people for interview, just like Emmanuel Ibeshi is now facing the people for that same interview. The people we have trusted with responsibility before, when they come to face us, we will say, what did you do with the 4 years that we gave to you? From there, we will know whether we should get another 4 years or whether we should look somewhere else. For the audience that you provided, first of all, let me say this. There are a lot of people that knew about this occasion that were afraid to come here. There are a lot of people that knew about this occasion that could not sit on this front row, so that camera will not catch them, so that nobody will know that they were here. You know that? For the courage that you showed to put yourself here and face the cameras and provide this audience, I say thank you. It takes exemplary courage to be able to do that. There are a lot of people who worked for this occasion to happen. Some cleaned the floors, some just informed another person, others put up these banners, some were just drivers. There are people that will be pressmen. However, in all courts, your labor works. However hidden your labor works. Let me say thank you for your contribution. All the people in office, House of Assembly, governors, president, that is where they derive their powers. They cannot derive their powers from the Constitution and refuse to obey that same Constitution. So we are going to obey the Constitution, which says there is vacancy in government house after 4 years.
Well, because I have seen it happen over and over, and like the example I gave of Lagos State, it is It is a very simple, straightforward thing. And the current administration that we have, which is supposed to have networked all that has happened in the past, has failed in doing it because of this lack of succession plan. And the fact also is the fact that when we look at what the previous administrations had done, they had allowed succession plan to just an incumbent governor, which is the reason I'm asking the people to begin also to create an enabling environment. Because one, I am the person who is offering this initiative that when I am given that opportunity, I will start with creating a succession plan from day one, because I have just 4 years. I'm not going to be there forever. If I don't sit down and start with creating a succession plan, I'll fail. Because you never can tell who is going to take over from you, if he's going to have the same vision, the same understanding. But for me to articulate what I have already synergized from the Donald Duke administration to the Lee Moke administration, having seen the pitfalls, I should be able to know within 4 years to create a succession plan that is sustainable and that can bring to bear all these developments that they had put together.
And why do you think the people of Cross River State should trust you with 4 years term, even when the Constitution provides that you can contest twice, 8 years? Why do you think?
That is a very simple answer. If you remember, as a sitting National Publicity Secretary of PDP, in 2001, I rejected an automatic succession plan for us at the NWC. We were supposed to transit from 2 years to 4 years. And I said, no, we cannot do that. You can check the PDP, you can check the history of Nigeria, that I, sitting as a National Publicity Secretary of PDP, I objected to it. I did not only object to it, I went to court against it. And I prevailed, and the PDP changed the rules and adopted my position at the National Convention. In fact, that brings us to a point where there must be supremacy of the party and the supremacy of the Constitution. When the people have agreed on a formula, for instance, like in Cross River State, that each of the zones should produce a governor for 8 years, which is not really an automatic ticket anyway, we should abide by it. Cross River North, that is currently sitting on that position, will be doing 4 years by 2019. I am saying they should give us 4 years to complete. And if in 4 years I do not put enough structures to change the narrative of all that has happened before, then I would have failed. That is why I'm categorical. I have done it before, not refusing to remain in office because of my personal benefits. I will do it again in 4 years to put in place a standard procedure that can give a sustainable succession program.
What will you do about have a rice seedling factory, have a garment factory, whichever way they've done it? What will you do about it?
Every government or program with the right leadership can proffer the right solutions. What I meet in office will be based on what has been done, and the solutions I will provide will be based on the leadership ability and capacity that I bring on board. Of course, there is no government that we are going to say hasn't got its issues. Every government has issues. How the person that takes over manages the issues is what determines whether a child will die from sickness or a child will be cured to life. So what I'm offering is the fact that I will bring the right management capacity to deal with whatever issues I find in sit.
Okay, so in 4 years, how do you intend to achieve the right response for phase 2 that you have said?
Yeah, from what I said in phase 2, if you are conversant with how Dubai came to be, in 2006 you could count hotels, you could count houses, you could count estates in Dubai. They didn't exist. It was just desert land. But in 2018 today, if you compare the Dubai of then and the Dubai of today, a whole lot has happened. So like I said, if they continue, if I lay the right foundation, you'll be able to see the Obodo Cattle Ranch of maybe 10, 15 years based on what has been projected and envisioned being carried by successors of my administration. I didn't say this will happen in 4 years. No, I said these are phased projects. And if I'm able to come up with a program that faces this project with the right successor, competent enough to interpret these phases, you will see that happen in your lifetime.
Thank you very much, sir.